Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
Before we get started, we want to face the east. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Raquel Kadash. Double honor and respect to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Much respect and honor to the brothers doing the work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and freedom to do so, pushing this gospel throughout the four corners of the earth. Salutations to the hopeful elect that are scattered abroad. Much love and respect to the beloved, the brothers that are helping to push this gospel, edify the body and feed the sheep of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai daily. We almost home. Every day there's multiple chariot sightings. And NASA has been put on full alert, monitoring these chariots of the Lord. So we're close. We're living in a time that is unmatched, unprecedented, cannot compare to any other time in history, where we're seeing multiple so-called UFO sightings every day. This place is close to glowing in the dark, and the Lord is going to call home his elect. He's going to build his kingdom with his crown jewels of the house of David. So we're close. The Bible says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? So the day of the Lord is darkness and not light. The Lord is coming with wrath. A so-called black man is our Savior, whom you ignorantly call Jesus Christ. He's coming with his chariots. So we're going to go into it. Yesterday we visited the brothers at GMS DC. Okay, so we visited that camp yesterday, and we were able to fellowship with those brothers, full of fire. So without further ado, I'm going to get ready to bring it out. And to the brothers and the sisters on the comment board, Shalom, Barakatham. I'm going to go here first. Matter of fact, I'm going to start off in Matthew 24. When Yahushua sat down in Mount Olives, and the disciples said, tell us, what shall be the sign of thy coming? Let me go there first. I'm going to start off in the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 1. And Yahushua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahushua said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Yeah, there's a physical temple that was thrown down by the Romans in 70 AD. And there's also a spiritual dispersion that occurred. The Israelites were scattered. So there's a spiritual relevance when he's talking about the temple. We are also the temple of the Lord's people. Verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? On the end of the world, when you go into that word world, it goes back to eon, age. So we're approaching the end of one kingdom, the end of an empire. Rome, a fourth beast. Edomites, the so-called white man. So we're approaching a transitory period, the end of an old age, and we're slowly transitioning in to the beginning of Jacob. I'll read that again. Matthew 24, verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. Many false prophets are saying they are anointed. That word Hamashiach means anointed. So we're in those days now. Many are saying they are or is Yahushua. Verse 6, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So America just sent over $1.1 billion to beef up Taiwan's defense and military, armor, and mechanized units. Collectively, they've sent upwards of $4 billion over the last few years. So China is getting agitated, preparing to strike in the Far East. America just sent a naval destroyer group, an aircraft destroyer group over to Far East Asia, posturing itself for war. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. One moment. Let me read verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famine and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. Seoul, Korea is being flooded. Various parts of Japan being flooded out. A drought is occurring in China. Utah, floods. Dallas-Fort Worth, floods. Georgia, floods. Earthquakes in diverse places, which is going to escalate to nuclear strikes or missile strikes. These missiles are also going to create earthquake, famine. What happens when a war breaks out? The military absorbs food, water, oil, gas. So the populace, the citizens, are going to suffer famine, supply shortages. You see, every war absorbs an astronomical amount of resources. What do you think is going to be left over to the citizens? Very minimal amounts. We're going to be scrapping crumbs off the table, eating what's left over that the military didn't use. Let's go here, We're going to go here. Amos, chapter 5, verse 17.
Amos, chapter 5, verse 17. And it reads, And in all vineyards shall be wailing, for I will pass through thee, say the Lord Yahweh. Amos, chapter 5, verse 18. And it reads, Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord Yahweh. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord Yahweh is darkness and not light.
See? So in the Christian church, they teach that a so-called white boy is going to show up with blonde hair and blue eyes. And he's going to hold hands with everybody and have arms stretched out with hands being held and singing, We are the world. We are the children. Not true. The Messiah is a so-called dark-skinned man with woolly hair. One moment. Let me show you something. What does this sign say? Check this out. Wait a minute. Look at the title. Dark Ages. Between 330 AD and going up into about 1500 AD. These are the original images. Look at the Messiah. Look at the prophets. These same men are prophesying in these last days. So a so-called dark-skinned man with woolly hair is coming back to avenge his people, his holy temple, the Israelites that were castaways, that became dispersed. Let's read that again. Babakasha.
Amos chapter 5, verse 18, and it reads, Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord Yahweh. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord Yahweh is darkness and not light.
Beautiful. Let me transition to the comment board. For the day of the Lord cometh, both cruel with wrath and flames of fire. Why you think NASA is watching the so-called UFOs, the chariots of the Lord? Shalom, beloved brother, GMS Amath, your ice from Yahweh. Call Halaim La Yahweh Shemi Habashah Barakatah. Brother Ariel, Cha'ayah, and brother Bayan Yasharala, and to all the beloved of the house of David. Shalom.
Shalom.
Brother Andre serving Yahushua. Joel 2, verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. That's why we're going to see darkness. The missiles, nuclear, intercontinental ballistic missiles, is going to turn off the lights. Turn off the lights anyway, inside joke. So the land is going to be laid dark. The skies are going to be blotted out. The sunlight is going to be covered with massive blackness and soot. Massive destruction is coming. Nuclear missiles on a land that is drenched in blood. Let's read that again. Joel 2, verse 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, on the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There have not been ever the like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. So nuclear war is unprecedented. There is no comparison to what's coming. When entire continents are going to be on fire, America is going to become an oven. It's going to be a backyard bonfire. This place is going to glow in the dark. No comparison historically. Joel 2, verse 3. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. So these nuclear missiles are going to be traveling in formation like an army. Nothing is going to escape the fiery flame. Let's go from there. We're going to go to Amos chapter 5, verse 19.
Amos chapter 5, verse 19, and it reads, As if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, or went into the house, and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him.
Yep. Now from there, so when you're trying to escape destiny, the Lord's judgment, you cannot escape judgment. None of us can. So even if, let's say these international bankers, they're building these multi-million-dollar underground doomsday bunkers. They're going to be taken from their bunkers and become the first fruits of slavery, these international bankers. So they're going to be snatched up with chains and shackles. So nothing can escape the Lord's judgment, whether it be captivity, such as to the captivity, such as to the sword, and such as to the teeth of wild beasts. Some of you are going to be eaten alive by animals. So the Lord has apportioned out different sentences of judgment. Now let's go from there to Job 20 and 16.
Job chapter 20, verse 16. And it reads, he shall suck the poison of asp. The viper's tongue shall slay him.
Yep, I'm going to go back to Amos 5 and 20.
Amos chapter 5, verse 20. And it reads, shall not the day of the Lord Yahweh be darkness and not light? Even very dark, and no brightness in it.
All right, I'm going to go to the comment board, Brother Adam Nana. I'm going to go from there to Nahum 1, verse 6. The book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 6. Who can stand before his indignation, and who can abide in the fierceness of his anger? His fury is poured out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that trust in him. The Lord is going to have mercy on his fine grape cluster, a remnant, a small sanctuary. But the wrath of the Lord's fury is going to come upon the heads of the wicked, the global elites, the international bankers. They know this. You don't invest $18 million in an underground cave if you don't know the prophecies. You don't build escape doomsday bunkers if you don't know that nuclear war is imminent, that the Lord's word is faithful and true. Let me go here. Brother Andre serving Yahushua, Malachi 4, verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord. Saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as the calves of the stall. Why are we being lifted? What is that arise? To be raised up, swing low, sweet chariots coming forth to carry us home. But you that fear my name shall arise to be caught up, to be taken up, to be raised up. Why do you think we say, Kwam Yasharallah, rise Israel? We got to take our time. Let me read that again. The Holy Spirit just hit me. Woo! Malachi 4, verse 2. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall, and ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. So the elect are going to be taken up into the chariots of the Lord and be changed, put on the new clothing, the new garments, the new bodies, become immortals, and come down from the chariots and take the kingdom. Let's go from there to Job chapter 20, verse 15.
Job chapter 20, verse 15. And it reads, he hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again.
Wait a minute, what are the riches of the Lord? The crown jewels, the lively stones, the temple of the Lord, his elect. Let's read that again.
Once more, Job chapter 20, verse 15. And it reads, he hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. God our power shall cast them out of his belly.
So we're in the belly of the beast. Why do you think Jonah was swallowed up? The beast. So who is the beast? The international bankers, the fourth empire, Rome, Edomites, the so-called white man. We're in the revised Roman Empire. This beast has dreadful teeth and stamped out the residue of the other nations, swallowed them up, and swallowed up the Lord's crown jewels, his elect. But the tabernacle of David is being raised up in the belly of the beast, Rome. Let's read that again about this devil swallowing down riches.
Job chapter 20, verse 15, and it reads, he hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. God our power shall cast them out of his belly.
So we're going to be delivered out of the belly of the beast. And the world was made for our sake. So the elect are going to take what's ours. I visited London about 20 years ago. I went to London, and they had a guard around the crown jewels, the crowns. Did you know all that jewelry, all that gold belonged to the Israelites? They stole it. And when the Renaissance came into pass, around 1453, they began to rape all the treasure vaults, all the gold vaults, took the crowns, the golden scepters. So the international bankers, they stole everything that belonged to us. But the tabernacle of David is being raised up to take the kingdom. Come on. Let's go to Jonah about this beast. That beast was really a whale, but it also represents what? An empire, a rulership, Rome. Come on.
Jonah chapter 2, verse 2, and it reads, one moment.
Gonna let this train go by. When you look at a beast, when you go into that word beast, it means a snare or trap. It also represents a foul, wicked person or kingdom. So we're under a corrupt, foul, sinister kingdom. The beast. We are in the belly of a great empire, the daughter of Babylon, a spiritual Sodom in Egypt. Let's go to Jonah.
Jonah chapter 2, verse 2, and it reads, it said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I.
Out of the what?
Out of the belly cried I.
Who's crying aloud, sparing none, lifting up our voice like a trumpet in the belly of the beast, in America, in Egypt, Nineveh, Rome, Greece, Assyria. Oh, I'm getting ready to show. The Bible is a living, breathing word. I gotta go here. Who's doing this? Hell is a condition. It's not talking about being chased by a so-called white man wearing red spandex and carrying a big dinner fork. Hell are conditions. Isaiah 58, verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not. Lift up my voice like a trumpet and show my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sins. Let's go back to our big brother Jonah, crying out in the belly of hell, in the belly of the beast. What has been will be again, and there is no new thing under the sun. Let's go.
Jonah chapter 2, verse 2, and it reads, and said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I. and thou heardest my voice.
Oh, this is beautiful. Somebody know where this is going. Let me go to Zechariah 13. Zechariah 13, verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. So the Lord is going to preserve a remnant, elect, like Jonah. See, watch this. Zechariah 13, verse 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined. Did he not say he cried out of hell? We're in hell right now, going through the fire of adversity, the fiery trial of the test of our faith. We got to take our time. Zechariah 13, verse 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined. And I will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my power. So the Lord heard Jonah out of the belly of hell. The Lord is hearing his prophets, his elect, his tabernacle, his temple, a damsel in distress, the daughter of Zion, cry unto him in the belly of hell. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to Joel 3. Joel 3.
Joel chapter 3, verse 5. And it reads, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things.
That's the Lord's treasure, his crown jewels, lively stones. Did not we read that in Zechariah 13, verse 9? I will refine them. One moment, Babakasha. Let me go back to that. Zechariah 13, verse 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire and will refine them as silver is refined, and I will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my power. Silver and gold is being tried, tested, refined, made perfect with the impurities burned out. So we got to be tried, tested, refined. Let's go back to that. We're in the belly of the beast, swallowed down by the global elites.
Once more, Joel chapter 3, verse 5, and it reads, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. Joel chapter 3, verse 6, and it reads, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border. Joel chapter 3, verse 7, and it reads, behold, I will raise them up, Salaki, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them.
I will do what?
Raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them.
The Lord is going to say, come up hither. Quam Yasharallah. Rise, Israel, from the graves of gross darkness, from the graves of ignorance, from captivity, from the belly of the beast, from the conditions of hell. I will raise them up out of the places where ye have sold them. Let's say that again.
Joel chapter 3, verse 7, once more, and it reads, behold, I will raise them out of the place whether ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head.
Beautiful. Yep. Let me check the comment board. I'm going to visit the comment board. Brother, one moment. This comment board is on fire. Brother, defend the gospel. 144. Defend the gospel. Jeremiah 28, verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. So we are the mouthpiece of the Lord, ambassadors. And the Lord says, declare ye this among the heathen, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near. So our message is not of peace. Our message is not of reconciliation for the nations. Our message, prepare war. The chariots of the Lord are postured in the outer firmament, troop formations on the NASA Doppler radar, a massive troop formation. So the Bible is a true book. NASA is losing sleep at night. The international bankers are losing sleep at night. There was an elder in the UK. He said he had a dream that I think it was David Rothschild or Nathan came up to him and said, we're terrified of these chariots. Well, he said UFOs in the dream. David Rockefeller. And he said, we're having nightmares. We can't sleep because we see these UFOs attacking us, setting our kingdom on fire, burning us up. So we told the elder out of the UK, we're terrified and we don't know what to do about these UFOs. So the Lord has sent forth messengers, ambassadors to declare war. The Lord is coming. The Lord is coming. The Lord is coming. What we got next here? We're going to go to Job chapter 20.
Job chapter 20, verse 16. And it reads, he shall suck the poison of asps. The viper's tongue shall slay him.
The viper's tongue shall slay him. So Yahushua is coming as a thief in the night. So right now this devil is being consumed by the word. So a right-hand side of judgment is being lifted up, as if a man did flee from a bear and a lion, and a serpent did bite him. Nothing can escape the Lord's judgment. Nothing can escape what the Most High has decreed. Come on. Let's go to Amos. See, I'm going to show that. Let's go back to Amos chapter 5.
Amos chapter 5, verse 19. And it reads, as if a man did flee from a lion, and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall, and a serpent bit him.
See that? So this Bible is an amazing book. I'm going to visit the comment board. Brother Andre, let's go here first. Defend the gospel, Matthew 10 and 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Beautiful. So this is why the prophets have the message of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. A sword is upon the Chaldeans. A sword is upon the sorcerers, the warlocks, the witches. A sword is upon the global elites, the international bankers that create poisonous food with preservatives and make us sick, that feed their multi-trillion-dollar pharmaceutical drug poisonous industry. So the Lord is going to destroy them. And they built their empire on the stock exchange. What stock? The slaves of the children of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Native Americans and Latinos. They're living on stolen land, stolen riches. They're living on blood that has been running through the streets. Meyer Amschel Bauer said the best time to invest or buy is when blood is running in the streets. So they fund both sides of every conflict, and they're drawing benefits from both sides, the left against the right, while they're sitting back eating caviar and drinking scotch and bourbon. These people are savage Edomites. Let's go back to Job.
Job chapter 20, verse 17, and it reads, he shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. Verse 18, and it reads, that which he laid before shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be.
According to his substance shall the restitution be. So they got to pay with themselves. He who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. So the Lord is bringing back the harvest. War has been sown in the land. Blood has been sown in the land. Wars has been sown throughout the land. Mischief, riches gotten by deceit, robbery, death, smallpox in the blankets have been sown in the land. Deception. So the Lord is going to bring the universe back into balance. This is a universal balance. He's balancing the scales of justice. Come on.
Once more, Job chapter 20, verse 18, and it reads, that which he laid before shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. Verse 19, and it reads, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath valiantly taken away an house which he builded not. Job chapter 20, verse 20, and it reads, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired.
Remember that elder from the UK said that Rockefeller or Rothschild, can't remember what the hell his name was. He said he can't sleep at night. What do we say when we're nervous? I got butterflies in my belly. See that? I'm nervous. I can't sleep at night. Can't sleep at night. See? So the devil knows his time is up. The sand in the hourglass is running low. They rape children whenever they're stressed out and drink adrenochrome, blood. Or you think 8 million people worldwide go missing around the world. 1 million people go missing in the United States every year. 70% are children and women. Let's go back to this devil having butterflies in his belly.
Job chapter 20, verse 20, and it reads, surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired.
Beautiful. See, the Lord is coming, and they know it. They see him on the Doppler radar. The international global elites take us serious, but a wild zoo or jungle monkey will come up here mocking and scoffing with hair going down to his ass, looking like a wild female monkey. But these global elites take us serious. They know what we're saying is right and faithful and true. Declare ye this among the nations. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. So the kings of the earth are hearing the message. They can't sleep. Let's go to Sirach 51.
Ecclesiastes chapter 51.
One moment, brother. Baba Kasha, Salakia. Brother Dark Matter, Yahawah Amath. Dark Matter, Yahawah Amath. Isaiah 14 and 21. How can the land be healed? How can justice be made or obtained? Let's see. Isaiah 14, verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. The Lord is going to rise up against them and bring justice and judgment to the earth. Right now, the scales of justice are unbalanced, out of whack. The earth is not calibrated. Why you think there's floods in Pakistan, floods in Japan, floods in Korea, flooding throughout various parts of the United States? Why you think food shortages are underway? A bottleneck in the supply system is occurring. The Most High says, I will bring plagues upon the world. Let's go to Sirach 51.
Ecclesiastes chapter 51, verse 5. And it reads, from the depth of the belly of hell, from an unclean tongue, and from lying words.
Read it again, because we're talking about hell, just like Jonah was in the belly of the beast. The Israelites are in the belly of the beast, a savage, vile people. Job said they are the vilest people of the earth. Let me go there. Before you get that, let me go to Job 30. See? So you can understand we're in the beast of a base man, a vile people, the revised Roman Empire, Edom. Job chapter 30. The book of Job chapter 30, verse 4. Who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief. So there was a time when you saw an Edomite in your backyard and you would throw rocks at him. He was stealing your poultry. He was stealing your agriculture, your tomatoes and corn, your onions. This man is the devil. So once upon a time, everybody knew that when they saw an Edomite. They would try to defend their territory from this devil. Job chapter 30, verse 5 again. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. So they are vile, grotesque, detestable beasts. So now we're under their domain, their reign of rulership, the belly of the beast. Let's go to Sirach 51.
Once more, Ecclesiastes chapter 51, verse 5. And it reads, from the depth of the belly of hell, from an unclean tongue, and from lying words. Ecclesiastes chapter 51, verse 2, and it reads, for thou art my defender and help, and hast preserved my body from destruction, and from the snare of the slanderous tongue, and from the lips that forge lies, and has been my helper against my adversaries.
So the Lord is our defense. The Lord is our shield. The Lord is our hedge. We're surrounded by a base man. We're surrounded by a corrupt court system. We're surrounded by a scandalous legal network. All of their brothers go back to the days of the slave patrol, and they just pass on the office of sheriff. They pass on the office of mayor. They pass on the office of chief of police. So the cave beasts just pass on their inheritance, their wealth, their riches gotten by the sea. So we're in a perpetual state of servitude. Why you think the Bible says, until he be taken out of the way? So we need a spiritual interference to take down this devil. We need a spiritual disruption of an age, an eon, a kingdom, that's going to come to an abrupt end, a screeching halt. The Lord is going to put the brakes on this devil. Come on.
Ecclesiastes chapter 51, verse 3. And it reads, and has delivered me according to the multitude of thy mercies and greatness of thy name, from the teeth of them that were ready to devour me.
What is this man's military?
From the teeth of them that were ready to devour me.
Come on.
And out of the hands of such as sought after my life, and from the manifold afflictions which I had.
See? So we're subject unto him for payments. We have to be subdued under this man. He is the authority right now over us. A rod of correction. Come and prove that. So he is the government. He is the law, the municipality, but to a limited degree. Because we're not going to take the mark or the might be. See? Romans 13, verse 1. The book of Romans chapter 13, verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High. So the Lord raised up Rome, Edom. They are ordained of him. The Lord raised up the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greco-Roman Empire, or the Greeks, the Romans. They are ordained of the Most High to be a rod of correction, a whipping stick for his chosen children. See? Let me read it again. Somebody post that in Isaiah chapter 10. O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger. See? Let me go back to that. Romans 13, verse 1. Let every soul be subject unto the higher power, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resist the ordinance of the Most High, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. Why you think Jake is being shot dead in the streets, beat upside the head with a billy club by the caveman, tased, dragged in the streets, handcuffed behind his back? That is the fury of the Lord for being a disobedient, rebellious nation, a hypocritical nation that despise this word. See, for rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have the praise of the same. So the prophets are not being shot dead. The prophets are not being tased, handcuffed, beat down. Do that which is good. Let me read that again. For the wild jungle animal that loves to rise up and rebel, that despise and mock and scoff, they're being beat down daily. Let me read that again. Romans 13, verse 2. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power, resist the ordinance of the Most High, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. I'm going to go to Isaiah 10. I'm going to transition back to you. I'm going to go here to Brother Dark Matter Yahweh. Dark Matter Yahweh, I'm up. Isaiah 10, verse 5. Assyrian, the rod of mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. The Lord raises up correction, reproof. The Lord lifts up a standard. The Lord lays down the law. through people. People are the sword of the Lord. His chastisement, his fury, his wrath. He is the God of all flesh. Matter of fact, let me go here. One moment. I'm going to go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 32, verse 27. Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? Therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will give this city into the hand of the Chaldeans and into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and he shall take it. The rod of the Assyrian is mine indignation and the hand of the Lord. Let's go back to that. Isaiah 10, Isaiah chapter 10, verse 5. O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. I will send him against a hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him charge to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. So this is the Lord's indignation, a righteous anger. Okay, back to Sirach. Okay.
Ecclesiastes, once more, chapter 51, verse 3, and it reads, and has delivered me according to the multitude of thy mercies and greatness of thy name, from the teeth of them that were ready to devour me, and out of the hands of such as sought after my life, and from the manifold afflictions which I had. Verse 4, and it reads, from the choking of fire on every side, and from the midst of the fire which I, Salaki, and from the midst of the fire which I kindled not.
Beautiful. See? So our destiny is ordered. Why you think King David said, order my steps in thy word? The afflictors or the oppressors are ordained. The Most High has everything in a delicate balance. When we do dirt, we get dirt. When we go off, the Lord has an oppressor waiting for us on the spot. Everything is ordained from on high. No prophet died of this crown Victoria, or dropped dead, or got sick off the Curious George, or the monkey popcorn, whatever this crap is. No man of the Lord dropped dead from that mess, or drank the serpent's piss. No man of the Lord, or remnant of the hopeful elect. So the Lord is our defense, a spiritual hedge upon his sanctuary. He is upon his temple as a small sanctuary in the midst of the belly of the beast. Come on.
Ecclesiastes, chapter 51, verse 5, and it reads, from the depth of the belly of hell, from an unclean tongue, and from lying words.
See? So we're in the depth of the belly of the beast. Let's go back to our brother Jonah.
Jonah, chapter 2, verse 1, and it reads, then Jonah prayed unto the Lord Yahweh his power out of the fish's belly. Verse 2, and it reads, and said, I cried by reason of my affliction unto the Lord Yahweh, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice.
So you think we out here because we're bored or looking for a hobby? We're crying in our affliction. We're crying in turmoil. We're crying in pain and anguish. We're ready to go home. Swing low, sweet chariots, coming forth to carry us home out of the belly of hell. We're crying aloud, sparing not, lifting up our voice. We are a damsel in distress. We're tired of fake fruit, fake food, genetically modified or bio-re-engineered organisms. We're tired of GMO vegetables. We're tired of fake juice. We're tired of being sick off the food that we rely on, only to make us sicker and be hospitalized and to become a commodity for the multi-trillion-dollar Chaldeans, sorcerers, black magic, witchcraft. Many Americans are walking around in a trance. They don't know if they're going or coming. They're like robots, androids, full of little miniaturized computers in their bodies, breathing in barium aluminum dropped from the skies daily with chemical trails. We're tired of being contaminated by polluted air. We're tired of lead in the water, fluoride in the toothpaste, fluoride in the water. We're crying out in the belly of hell. We're tired of sending our sons and daughters off to die in illegal wars, to go after gold, oil, and drugs. We're tired of being tired.
Jonah, chapter 2, verse 3, and it reads, "For thou hast cast me into the deep, in the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me about. All thy billows and thy waves passed over."
See? So we're in the midst of the seas. We're scattered amongst peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. That's Babylon the Great. I'm going to prove it. See? So that literally happened, but everything has a spiritual significance. Let me go to Revelations. Revelation 17, verse 15. "And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues." See? Let's read that about these waters again in Sirach. Back to Sirach. I'm sorry, Jonah. My bad, Jonah. The last scripture you read.
Jonah, chapter 2, verse 3, and it reads, "For thou hast cast me into the deep, in the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me about. All thy billows and thy waves passed over me."
See? So we were swallowed up by the waters, the other nations. We are swallowed up on every side by peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. We are surrounded by our enemies on every side. Nations that hate us, that despise us, that demonize dark skin, that demonize woolly hair, that demonize melanin, that demonize the spirit of the Lord's mouth. See? Hosea 8, verse 8. "Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure." Can't tell me the Bible is not a true book. We're swallowed up by the deep. See? Let's go to Psalms 124.
Psalms, chapter 124, verse 2, and it reads, "If it had not been the Lord Yahweh, who was on our side, when men rose up against us," verse 3, "then they had swallowed us up quick, when their wrath was kindled against us," verse 4, "then the waters had overwhelmed us, the stream had gone over our soul."
See? Babylon the Great. We're surrounded by the nations that hate us. We're surrounded by Moab, the so-called Chinese and Korean. We're surrounded by Ammon, the so-called Japanese, Tyre and Zidon, the so-called native Africans wearing a damn luminescent green t-shirt, orange shorts, and flip-flops with lace of orange and luminescent green. playing soccer, the so-called native Africans that hate us. You see, we're surrounded by East Indians, Elam or Elam. We're surrounded on every side by floods of the deep, by waves of the heathen. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? Let me go here. I got to go here about these waves, these floods on every side. One moment. Let's go here. The book of Isaiah, chapter 57. Watch this. Isaiah 57, verse 20. But the wicked are like the troubled sea. Let me read that again. Isaiah 57, verse 20. But the wicked are like the troubled sea, when it cannot rest, whose waters cast up mire and dirt. There is no peace, saith my power, to the wicked. Let's go back to being surrounded by peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues, which starts with Edom, Rome, a so-called white man, the belly of the beast. Come on.
Once more. Psalms 124, verse 2. If it had not been the Lord Yahweh, who was on our side, when men rose up against us. Verse 3. Then they had swallowed us up quick, when their wrath was kindled against us. Verse 4. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Verse 5. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul.
So who is salvation for? Who's been swallowed up on every side? Only the devil would blow their horn constantly while the word is coming out. Only the devil would do that. So who was swallowed up by every nation on every side? Let's go to Luke 1, verse 68. Who's hated by all nations, pursuant to Psalms chapter 83. I'm going to show you the book of Luke chapter 1. Let's go to verse 68. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. So Yahweh Shai is going to be raised up unto the house of David. See that? And have raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. So the prophets have been, is, and forever will be. Let me read that again. The prophets are not done away with. Luke 1, verse 70. As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant. So salvation is for Israel, which starts with the elect. We've been swallowed up on every side, and we are like a vessel wherein is no pleasure, no rest. Let me go to Hosea. Hosea chapter 9. The book of Hosea chapter 9, verse 17. My God will cast them away, because they did not hearken unto him, and they shall be wanderers among the nations. See that? We are wanderers among the heathen and Gentile nations. Let me read that again. Hosea 9 and 17. My God will cast them away, because they did not hearken unto him, and they shall be wanderers among the nations. Back to Hosea 8:8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. First fired, last hired, being called black, Negro, wicked, dark, domestic terrorists, black identity extremists. We are surrounded by our enemies. We have no rest, no peace in the belly of the beast. For they are gone up to Assyria, a wild ass alone by himself. Ephraim have hired lovers. Northern Kingdom, Ephraim, the so-called Puerto Ricans, so-called Dominicans, Mexicans. You see, I visited Mexico, and Ephraim is joined unto idols. The so-called Mexicans, every corner is Jeebus cross, Mary or Mother Mary. So even in our captivity, the Israelites are rebellious, not hearkening unto the Most High, will not listen to his word or take heed to his will. Come on.
Jonah.
Let's go back to these borders in Psalms 124, the last verse. Yeah.
Psalms chapter 124, verse 5. And it reads, then the proud waters had gone over our soul.
All right, now we're going to go back to Jonah 2.
Jonah chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. And they read, then I said, I am cast out of thy sight, yet I will look again toward thy holy temple. The waters compass me about, even to the soul. The death closed me round about. The weeds were wrapped about my head.
Beautiful. Let me visit the comment board. Yeah, brother GMS, I'm off your ice from your holder. Says sweet Jesus. Sweet Jesus is going into slavery. Yeah, by the way, that's an actual man. His name was Cesare Borgia, or Cesare Borgia, that came about in the 1400s. That Borgia family are the Rothschild family that were reincarnated. They're back. So that Borgia or Borgia goes back to Crimson, the crime family. They were the first crime family. Cesare Borgia slept with his sister LaQuisha, and he was killing off his family members and those that were in opposition to his family. They were like a mafia or a mob, a crime family. So Cesare Borgia, the actual man, he's going to come back in chains. He's going to be a slave in the kingdom to come. And you're not going to be able to have your hair long in the kingdom, Cesare Borgia. You're going to have to cut that hair and look like a man. And Mammy or Eve is not going to be worshiping you in the kingdom. That's all going to be done away with. Mammy is going to be a lady in the kingdom, not having blonde hair and blue eyes, looking like a wild hyena wearing a damn blonde wig. All that's going to be done away with. Wildebeest with blonde hair pieces. That's going to be a thing. I can't talk, man. That's going to be a thing of the old, of the past. This is some bullshit right here. Eve's still worshiping this devil. So Eve is going to be in her right mind in the kingdom. This is ridiculous. Dark skin with blue eyes and wearing camel's hair. That's off. That's out of order. Eve. Yeah, let's go to Psalms.
Psalms chapter 124, verse 8. And it reads, our help is in the name of the Lord Yahweh,
No, his name is done away with and don't matter.
Our help is in the name of the Lord Yahweh.
Come on.
Who made heaven and earth. Excuse me. Come on.
We're going to go back. We read Jonah twice. So we're going to go to 2nd Ezra 13 and 1.
2nd Ezra, verse 13 and 1. And it reads, and it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. Verse 2, and it reads, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the ways thereof. Verse 3, and it reads,
wait a minute, what is that sea? So he's coming back in the outer firmament. NASA takes us serious. They have a watchman report now that's reporting to the Pentagon daily. A watchman report. They stood up a 24-hour, 7 days a week UFO task force. What we're reading is for real. This is not a fantasy that we're making up. They know what we're teaching is true. So Yahweh Shai, our Lord, is coming back with the host of heaven. They're seeing masses of large troop formations of ships in the outer firmament. So when the nuclear destruction hit, he's going to take up his elect of Israel, the afflicted, the house of David. The horn of salvation is being raised up to the house of David, because the tabernacle of David is being raised up by the Spirit of the Lord. Come on.
Once more, 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 2, and it reads, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the ways thereof. Verse 3, and it reads, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him.
So the foundations of the earth is going to shake. The earth is going to reel to and from on its axis. The Lord is coming. Every knee shall bow, and every tongue shall confess that he is Lord. The kings of the earth, the international bankers, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts, the Oppenheimers, the Gettys, they're going to bow in disgrace and shame and great fear. Let's go to Habakkuk chapter 3. The Lord is coming. Habakkuk chapter 3.
Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 2, and it reads, O Lord Yahweh, I have heard thy speech and was afraid.
The viper's tongue shall slay him. So these globalists, the international elite, are being slain by the word of the Lord, consumed by pure fire. Let's read that part again.
Once more. O Lord Yahweh, I have heard thy speech.
And he's coming with fire. So he's going to speak in his wrath. So this is twofold. He's going to speak in his rebuke and flames of fire. Come on.
And was afraid.
And was a what?
Was afraid.
Come on.
O Lord Yahweh, revive thy works in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known. In wrath remember mercy.
In wrath remember mercy. A remnant elect is going to be shown mercy and be delivered, be caught up into the clouds, the chariots of the Lord. And that wrath is going to be fired from high energy, concentrated laser beams from these ships, the chariots of the Lord. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 13 and 4.
2nd Ezra, verse, Salak. 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 4, and it reads, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire.
See how that mouth is slaying them? So the word is going to materialize and manifest into pure flames of fire. Right now, it's a spiritual consumption decree that's consuming our enemies. But it's going to materialize and manifest into literal fire. The master is coming that made and shaped the elements of the earth: wind, fire, floods, water, air, flames. He's going to make use of his power and coming back with full glory and power. I will not meet thee as a man, pursuant to Isaiah 47:3. We're reading about a firepower display. Let's read that part again.
Once more, 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 4, and it reads, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burnt that heard his voice, like as the earth falleth when it filleth the fire.
See? So the global elites, the international cave bankers, are going to flee into the holes of the rocks and the clefts of the valleys and $18 million underground bunkers, doomsday caves. They know a nuclear holocaust is coming. They know the Lord is coming. They're going to flee into the mountains, into their getaway retreats after they have destroyed the earth, the global elites. I'm going to read about it. Brother, basic wisdom. Shalom Malak. Call Halayim La. Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatah. Basic wisdom. Revelation 6, verse 16. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb, from a so-called dark-skinned face with woolly hair. Hide us from that pissed-off Negro. The Lord is coming. And the golden retriever is not going to save you, Eve. The golden retriever with blonde hair and damn camel, blonde eyes, how you say it? Blonde hair and blue eyes. The golden retriever is not coming to save you. Repent and be washed by the word and become a new creature. Let me read the comment board again. There's another one I saw. Brother Andre serving Yahushua. Matthew 24. The book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 31. Let's go to verse 30. The book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. Remember, we read about these powers in Romans 13. The powers shall be shaken. The government, Mount Seir, the hills, and the rulers of the earth. So they're going to be shaken and tremble at the return of our Lord. Matthew 24, verse 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So large troop formations of these so-called UFOs are going to blot out the skies. Massive blackness and soot from the nuclear devastation is going to add to that confusion, chaos, darkness, fear. Verse 31. Matthew 24, verse 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the one end of heaven to the other. That's what we read in Luke 1, verse 68 through 72. He's going to be raised up unto the house of David, unto the throne of his father, David. Scriptures don't lie. So his sheep are going to hear the voice, come up hither. And Lazarus is being resurrected from the graves, from the dead. What does Lazarus mean? He is the poor man, the meek and the humble. It means God help us. So the Most High is going to say to his sheep that hear his voice, his word, come up hither. And they're going to ascend up into the clouds of heaven, the chariots of the Lord, the so-called UFOs. Let's go to Habakkuk 3, verse 2.
Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 2. And it reads, O Lord Yahweh, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord Yahweh, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known, and wrath remember mercy. Verse 3. And Yahweh, Babashim Yahushua, came from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. Verse 4, and it reads, and his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hands.
That's high energy, concentrated laser beam fire. He had what?
Horns coming out of his hands. And there was the hiding of his power.
So that power is embedded in these ships. So he's going to speak in the fire of his wrath. The Lord, the master of the universe, that made the elements, that can manipulate fire, wind, air. He's coming in the greatness of his glory and traveling in the greatness of his strength. He's going to speak in his wrath. So the Lord, the great creator of the universe, the first spirit created of the ages, he is the light of the world. He was the first spirit made manifest, the Son of the Most High. And he walked in the flesh, first as Adam. He came back also in many different reincarnations. So he's going to come back in the second time, traveling with full power, strength, might, and glory. Go to Isaiah 66.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse 13. And it reads, as one whom his mother comforteth, so will I comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem.
Who's being comforted?
You.
Ye shall be comforted in where?
Jerusalem.
See? So this word comforts elect of Israel. The other nations should fear and tremble and beg for mercy, to be salvaged, to serve in the kingdom to come. All heathen nations. Let's read that again.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse 13, and it reads, as one whom his mother comforteth, so will I comfort you, and ye shall be comforted in Jerusalem.
Come on.
Verse 14, and it reads, and when ye see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb, and the hand of the Lord Yahweh shall be known toward his servants, and his indignation toward his enemies.
Perfect balance. The hand of the Lord shall be known towards his servants, and his indignation towards his enemies. The Lord is going to have mercy on Jacob and yet choose Yasharallah, and yet choose the prince of the power. The tabernacle of the thrones of David are being resurrected, rebuilt, reconstructed, reestablished as thrones, pillars of kings on the earth, and by default, priests under the order of Malak Tazadaq, the king of righteousness. Tabernacles of David are being raised up. Let's read that again. I love it.
Isaiah
Come on.
Chapter 66, verse 14, And it reads, and when you see this, your heart shall rejoice, and your bones shall flourish like an herb. And the hand of the Lord Yahweh shall be known towards his servants, and his indignation towards his enemies.
This is beautiful. When we see what? We're going to see the brightness of his coming. We're going to see him traveling in the strength of the formation of these ships, traveling in the greatness of his glory. We're going to see an eternal firepower displayed, a magnificent, glorious sun. We're going to see a great man crack those skies like none other. We're going to see him in full magnificence, exuberance, light. The greatest show on earth is coming. Get your tickets, the hopeful elect of the house of Israel, and buckle and fasten your seatbelts, for the greatest show on earth is coming. The Lord is going to cast down the thrones, the rulers, the kings of the earth, and he's going to set up his people in their place. The men of the kings of the house of David, a noble class of the sons of Jacob, are being reinstated to occupy the thrones. Let's go.
Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15. And it reads, for behold, the Lord Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire.
Beautiful. Let me go here. Psalm 68, verse 17. The book of Psalms, chapter 68, verse 17. The chariots of God are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in Sinai, in the holy place. These are the so-called UFOs. These are what's keeping the international bankers up at night. This is the vision that the elder had out of the UK, that a Rothschild approached him and said, we're concerned about these ships. We're concerned about what we don't understand. The technology of the chariots of the Lord are 1,000 years ahead of the technology of the caveman's fighter jets, his stealth bombers, his stealth technology. The chariots of the Lord are 1,000 years in advance of the technology here. It's going to be like a damn jet plane fighting against a 1942 propeller airplane. No match. And the Lord is going to roll up this kingdom like aluminum foil. A 30-second knockout.
Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 5. And it reads, and after this I beheld, and lo, there were gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
So these nations are going to try to fight against the return of the Lord and these large so-called UFO formations that are going to come and enter into this fourth dimension. So they're traveling from the fourth dimension and they're going to enter into our domain. So it's going to be realm against realm. That's why they made that movie, War of the Worlds. Let's read that again, please.
Second Esdras, chapter 13, verse 5. Once more, and it reads, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
Beautiful. Let me go here. Brother Maiwada Aban, Jude 1 and 15. To execute judgment upon all and to convince all that are ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds, which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches, which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. All the naysayers, all the gainsayers, all the weak, lying pastors that misled his sheep, and those that set up these institutions, like the Roman Catholic Church, Edom. So we're all under the instruction and the power and rule of this man. So his United Nations under the European Union and NATO, they're going to come together to try to subdue the man coming out of the skies. Let's go to Revelation 17.
Revelation 17, verse 12. And it reads, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings.
NATO, come on.
Which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings, 1 hour with the beast.
And that 1 hour can go from 42 to about 70 years. So they signed their charter around 1957. The European Economic Committee, they all came together and received their charter somewhere around 1957, 1958. So that 1 hour is only, it's less than a century. It goes between 42 and 70 years. So these nations under the European Union and NATO, which is the head of the beast, they're going to unite under that head and fight against the dark Messiah. Let's go back to that, please.
Once more. Revelation chapter 17, verse 12. And it reads, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings, 1 hour with the beast. Verse 13. And it reads, these have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Verse 14. And it reads, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is Lord of lords, and King of kings, and they that are with him are called, and chosen, and faithful.
Who is with him? The 144,000 mighty men. They that are with him are what?
Chosen and faithful.
Chosen and faithful. Come on.
Verse 15, and it reads, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples, and multitudes, and nations, and tongues.
See, that woman is Lady Liberty, that's reigning over continents, reigning over nations, reigning over sovereign territories, ruling over the kings of the earth. So that whore is the mistress of the kingdoms, the lady of the night, that's been passed around to every nation: Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, Europe, Asia. See, it's in bed with the Philippines, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan. She's in bed with the nations around the world, creating confusion. And when you lay down with her economically, diplomatically, militarily, and you piss her off, she raises up other elements of her lovers to come against you. When you piss her off, she says, I feel disrespected. So she'll raise up different sects of elements of confederations of nations to come against you. No different from a prostitute in the hood or in the street when you make her angry. She's going to take you out with her other big Debo lovers. that's coming to get you. Let's go to 2nd Ezra. Oh, we read that already. Yeah, we went there already. Let's go down. Let's go to go straight here to Isaiah 14.
Yep.
So let's start at Isaiah 14 and 9. I'm going to go ahead and read further. Isaiah 14 and 9.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 9. And it reads, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations.
What is that hell? A major disaster and destruction on the earth from the coming of the Lord, which is going to be preceded by a nuclear holocaust. So that hell is the doorway to slavery, right after a massive takedown and devastation. So this man is going to see his kingdom fall with great violence. Come on.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 10. And it reads, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Verse 11. Thy pump is brought down to the grave, and the noise of the vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee.
A kingdom of ruin and decay. And I think in the Hebrew it's Ramoth, that worm covering thee. A total ruinous heap. A kingdom of massive devastation that's become nothing, like a landfill. Come on.
Verse 12. And it reads, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
The Luciferians, the international bankers. Lucifer means what? Light bearers. The illuminated ones. The Illuminati. How art thou what?
Fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?
They're going to be brought down to slavery. Art thou become weak like unto us? They're going to know what it feels like to be at the bottom, a base man, as in the days of old. Come on.
Verse 13, and it reads, for thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven.
Space Force, air travel, International Space Station. I will what?
I will exalt my throne above the...
I will ascend what?
Salaki, I will ascend into heaven.
Come on.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God our power.
They're ruling over the stars of the Lord. The Israelites are called the stars of God. His lights, his crown jewels on his crown. Come on.
I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation and the sides of the north.
North America. He's ruling from the daughter of Babylon, reigning over the kings of the earth. Come on.
Verse 14, and it reads, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
I will what?
Be like the Most High.
Now this devil, Yuval Noah Harari, and his lover, Klaus Schwab, Clown Schwab, these devils, they want to go underneath the skin and hack into the human anatomy. And they want to do this worldwide, which leads to what? Being digitally linked in. Digitally linked in unto the cloud. So this is going to be the ultimate grid of control. A grid network of control. All roads lead to the chip. Let's read that again about ascending into the clouds, please.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 14. Once more. And it reads, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
So he's got to do that by a invasive procedure, an intrusive procedure, to go underneath your skin and rule over the stars of heaven and sit on the mount of the congregation on the sides of the north and be like the Most High with all power and control, to be all-knowing with the brain technology, intrusive procedures into your mind, into your biometrics. Come on.
Verse 15, and it reads, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Slavery. Hell is slavery. Yet thou shalt what?
Be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
They're going to go into captivity. Come on.
Verse 16, and it reads, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee.
You mean this nigga was ruling over us? This cave animal? How can a base man take down the Lord's kings? The tabernacles of David? How can he do that? The spirits of the ancient days of old. Let's read that again, please.
Once more. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
Read it again.
Salaki. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
How does he do that? By his firepower that made the earth to tremble, that shook kingdoms. Look at Fat Man and Little Boy, the atomic bombs of World War II. Look at the NATO bombings of the Serbo-Croatia area around the early 1990s. Look at the bombs dropped in Vietnam. Over 70 bombs were dropped over Japan. But everybody usually just talks about the 2 atomic bombs. But really, there was about 70 bombing campaigns over Japan. There was over 100 bombing sorties over Vietnam. So this man made the earth. Let's read that again about shaking and trembling the earth.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 16, once more, and it reads, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms?
They started both world wars. The caveman, Edomites, Romans, the so-called white man that did shake kingdoms. World War I, caveman precipitated that. World War II, the caveman ignited that war and set it off. See, the Korean conflict, the caveman, Vietnam. Come on, man. Desert Storm, the Iraq invasion. The caveman is doing these things. The physical manifestation of the spiritual demon Satan. Esau, Edom. Come on.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 17, and it reads, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisons.
The Israelites he imprisoned in the sides of the north. Our minds with false doctrine, philosophies of men, and literal prison industrial complex. Is this that nigga? Yes, it's him, the red man. Come on, let's go back a scripture or two, and then we'll close out. Go back to 2 scriptures. Yeah.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 14, and it reads, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Verse 15, and it reads, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Verse 16, and it reads, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? Verse 17, and it reads, that man that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of the prisoners. Verse 18, and it reads, all the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house.
So over time, after about 1,000 years of servitude, these other nations are going to be shown some mercy, limited mercy. The caveman will never rise again. That's why the Bible says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. The Lord is going to rise up against you, cave animal, a base man, the vilest people of the earth that dwelled in the clefts of the valleys, in caves of the earth. These people are cavity dwellers with sewage and stink, urine, feces. Base people are ruling over the earth. Edomites. Come on.
Verse 19, and it reads, but thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain.
They're going to go to the valley of the dry bones and be nothing. Come on.
Thrust through with a sword.
With a what?
With a sword.
They're going to fall by the sword. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Come on.
That go down to the stones of the pit.
That go into slavery. Come on.
As a carcass trodden under feet.
The valley of the dry bones. Come on.
Verse 20. Thou should not be joined with them and buried.
No mercy to the caveman and his cohorts, his federation of nations. His posterity shall be cut off, and he shall have no name in the streets. Let's read that last scripture again. You just read
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 19.
Come on.
And it reads, but thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as a raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them and buried, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain the people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Renowned.
The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. They're going to be infamous, which is the opposite of famous. They're going to fall in infamy, put to shame by the flame. Man, I like that. That sounds like a lesson. They're going to be put to shame by the flame, by the sword of the Lord. The sword of the Lord is fat, with fatness of cave beasts, wicked ass gorilla monkeys, apes, bug outs, all types of wild savage beasts. The sword of the Lord is going to be made fat with fatness of jungle creatures, wild savages, beasts of the field, unclean desert animals. The sword of the Lord is going to clean the earth and purge away the old world with fire. Come on.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 21.
Let's go.
Prepare slaughter for his children.
Say what?
Prepare slaughter for his children.
Come on.
For the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Verse 22, and it reads, for I will rise up against them, say the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and the remnant, and son and nephew, say the Lord Yahweh.
I will rise up against them, saith the Lord. So the key takedown is Basra, the headquarters, the chief place, the stronghold of the strong man. Edom, Esau, in Babylon was made the earth a wickedness, a wilderness, excuse me. And all the kings of the earth follow her wicked ways. So the strong man must be subdued. In every military operation, when you're looking at a strategy, what do? As a general or a great commander, you must go after the heartbeat. So the heartbeat of Edom, of this kingdom, is the daughter of Babylon, America. So the Lord has this place in his crosshairs. The main target. Every commanding general goes after your capital first. Basra, which is the capital of Edom, Mount Seir. You must cut off or stick a dagger into the heart and stop the heartbeat of this man's wicked queendom, a pedo queendom that's reigning over the kings of the earth. But the thrones of the house of David are being raised up from the ashes and from the graves and the dust of the earth. Let's go. Hopefully, this has been an edifying camp session. I'd like to say all praises to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Rakwan Kadash. Double honor and respect to the elders and the apostles, great millstone. Much respect and honor to the brothers doing the work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and freedom to do so, pushing this gospel throughout the four corners of the earth. Salutations to the hopeful elect scattered abroad. The house of the thrones of David is being raised up. Kwam Yasharallah, Kwam Yasharallah, Kwam Yasharallah, and the Bud Babal. We got next, Lord willing. Shalom.
Shalom.
Let's go.